Hey y'all, and welcome to Politibrawl. My name is Brian, and Charlie Kirk just breaks this British brat and exposes the fact that this kid has zero clue what he's talking about. Let's dive in.
Good evening, Mr. Kirk. You've obviously devoted a lot of your life to electing, keeping in power Donald Trump, and you did so partly because you said Trump would put Americans first and take them out of foreign conflicts. Should we see how that is going at the moment? Currently, Trump has just accepted a $400 million debt from Qatar, which we're assured is perfectly above board. Billions in arms are going to Saudi Arabia, which they're using to bomb and starve Yemeni children. Not sure how that's in the interest of the United States, but it might be in the interest of the $5.5 billion deal his failed sons are receiving. At the same time, this great president of peace has greenlit mass killings not just in Yemen, but in Gaza, where he greenlit an invasion called Operation Gideon's Chariot with the express aim of wiping out the Gazan population. You promised to put America first. Haven't you and your ilk sold America out?
No.
Well, I'm glad you have great intellectual substance and can answer. Because it's all the culture wars for you, isn't it? The second someone actually tells you what you're doing, which is bread.
Can you calm down a little bit? Like, just a little bit? Pounding the table, you're all over the place. No. Do you want me to go piece by piece? Or would you like me to talk slower?
I think you can.
Number one, Donald Trump is convening a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine. Joe Biden gave them armaments.
That's going well, isn't it? It's going well.
Can you not interrupt me?
Well.
I allowed you to talk uninterrupted.
You're famous for not interrupting.
I haven't interrupted a single person here today. Can I speak uninterrupted, actually? I don't even know what we're debating at this point, other than I believe that I believe the facts. Israel was unconditionally attacked on October 7th. They're responding in kind. And I would just ask you a very simple moral question. How should Israel have responded?
Not with the blanket carpet bombing of the city, not with bombing hospitals. Of course, some kind of military operation might have been necessary, but not murder on this scale. There is no justification for what is happening with the enormous death toll that is being produced. I really cannot see how you come here and you have the gall to lecture us on Christian morality and then sit here and justify the murder of thousands of civilians. And is it working, Mr. Kirk? Is Hamas dismantled?
I've never said that.
You just did.
Well, no,
this is your whole
in
thing.
war, these are called casualties of a war.
We're going to need to stop bringing this
Again,
to close.
I'm not going to justify every military maneuver of a 100,000 person army. Instead, what I will do is I'll be clear that there is a good guy and there is a bad guy. I honestly...
Isn't that the morality of a child?
Well, hold on. It's interesting you say that, because a child who knows that Israel is the good guy, Hamas is bad, has a lot more wisdom than a student like yourself at Cambridge University.
I will be glad that I will not have been somebody who has defended the genocide of the Palestinian people. And I think you will have to reckon one day that you have reckoned with...
Interesting. I want to close on this. So can you tell me what African country is currently ongoing a civil war?
Believe it or not, I know about Sudan because I'm not an idiot.
How about what Southeast Asian country has an ethnic cleansing going on right now?
Myanmar.
Good. And you have strong opinions on both sides?
Unlike you, I take an effort to be informed about foreign policy and to come to conclusions. You are a culture warrior. I believe when everything is done, Mr. Kirk, people will see you and the people you've supported as corrupt, as selling the country out to the lowest bidder, and of doing irreparable damage to a country I'm sure we all deep down love.
The difference...
I think you will have to reckon with that.
The difference
Mr. Kirk.
is when... The difference is when we get our way, we'll still have a country, and your country will be a third world hellhole. Next question.
Thank you.
Oh boy, you know Charlie Kirk is ticked off here. Because right there at the end, he ends with an insult. He doesn't like doing that because that means that you are either losing the argument or you have nothing left to say. But here's the reason why he's gotten to that point. This child, for just lack of a better phrase, is out there screaming about morality and somehow trying to work morality back into U.S. international foreign policy. And it doesn't work. Okay? It doesn't work. This kid does not know how to properly make an argument. All he knows is that he has some moral compass somewhere in the husk of a body that he calls a soul. And somewhere along the way that he's smart enough to know that what's going on in Gaza is not a good thing. Okay? It's not a good thing. But that's what happens when you basically enable terrorists over and over and over again, often at the behest of the international community. And then those terrorists did terrorist things, and now there is a problem. That is the exact same thing that's going on in Yemen, of all things. There is no single Yemeni people. There's a splinter tribe known as the Houthis, and they have been given arms and ammunition by the Shia-backed nation of Iran, and they have taken those armaments and tried to halt all shipping in the Red Sea with threats of attacks on their ships. There's something about American history here. Don't touch our boats. Okay? Don't do it. Pearl Harbor, we dropped the sun on Japan twice. Germany didn't learn this lesson the right way after World War I. They kept touching our boats. We got into the struggle and basically turned them into Weimar Germany, which didn't end well, but that's neither here nor there. What ultimately happened in this debate is this kid is trying his best to call out Charlie Kirk for talking about the culture wars. And again, I've already said this, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but he failed spectacularly. Because not only does he not understand the whole point and purpose of U.S. foreign policy, and that's quite literally keep global trade flowing. This kid does not understand this principle, which is ironic because that used to be the job of the British Empire. But that's what happens when you basically allow your country to import an entirely new generation of people. This is why Britain's on track to be a third world country. They're starting to figure this out. And again, this is a great ending line, but it's not great for dealing with this problem. But that's because this problem goes much deeper than a mere argument about foreign policy or even culture wars, which again, they aren't the same thing. This kid's arguing one way, does not know how to argue the other way, and makes neither point stick. What's really interesting about this is this kid is clearly articulate. Okay? He's articulate enough to argue. He is not smart enough, on the other hand, to understand what he's actually saying, or even make a clear outline, have his points piece by piece. He even has his phone as a notepad here, trying to read off a script, and it doesn't work. What kind of education system is giving these kids credence? Folks, it's either the education system across the West is completely taken over by morons, or worse, something is happening to our children before they even get to these places of higher learning. And the kids in the background are clapping like seals. Like this kid made a good point. What's going on here? The reality is something is rotting these children's brains. I think that they are in their little bubbles. They're in their little enclaves on Reddit, on Tumblr, now on Blue Sky, and they're seeing opinions that make zero sense in reality. They're all based on this weird moral compass that doesn't work. And then they see people like Charlie Kirk, who is out here trying to unwork the nonsense, and it goes against everything that they've been taught. So it's this weird confluence of bad education and internet gone wild because these children are vulnerable. They don't understand what they're doing. They don't understand what they're saying. And I'm willing to bet that this kid has never traveled once in his life. I actually have. I've had the great privilege and pleasure of visiting multiple continents, and my family is fairly well-traveled, and clearly Charlie Kirk is across the pond because this is not an American audience. There's a strange way of telling who's a Brit and who isn't. It's usually they're either balding or they have slightly weirder chin lines. Genetics is a very interesting thing, but it's also an oddly diverse group of people that all seem and act British. So you can tell that they're overseas, but this kid has not traveled. He does not understand the consequences of his rhetoric or his actions, and Charlie Kirk can't unwork this level of mental incompetence And ultimately, he results to an insult, which is a great one and a prescient one. This is the directory that Britain has set for itself, all because they've refused to up the ante on making family-friendly policies, but instead they have gone more post-liberal ideology, and it's just saturated their minds to the point where it's mush. Charlie Kirk, no wonder he levels an insult here, because he understands fully that the brain rot that has taken root in the British Isles, across the Western nations, it's finally taking its toll, and Europeans are starting to take notice. Canadians are starting to take notice. Australians are starting to take notice, and of course, Americans are starting to take notice. So, that last little insult is proof positive, in my opinion, that this kid has been failed by his own education system and has no idea how to break that, and there's no way Charlie Kirk can reach him here. In the words of the late, great Herman Cain, save the savable. And I don't think this kid wants to be saved or is savable. So, bless his heart. Charlie Kirk tries his best, but there's some people you just can't unwork. Folks, my name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed that segment here on Politibrawl. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Until then, y'all have a good one.